Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time. Roll the in. I've given it some time. I've had this album on my list for the longest time, and now we are finally diving into it. Kate Bush, Ariel. Oh, I haven't even Googled the information to get it all up here to properly. I've just pressed the record button and said, let's go. We are finally diving into this album. We've listened to plenty from Kate Bush, and I gave it a little break. So I don't want to hear anyone saying, oh, yeah, you did too much Kate Bush. Guess what? There's more on the horizon. Ariel, her 8th studio album, released in 2005. In my opinion, modern times. We're going to start off with, of course, the first track, which is going to be King of the Mountain is where we are starting off. I do know that the second side of the album, A Sky of Honey, is kind of one track to be listened to, so to speak. Kind of like the second side of Hounds of Love. Do I still have that up there back there? It's not back there. But I'm really excited to listen to this. This first side is entitled A Sea of Honey. So many of you have been recommending this album, of course, just to name a few of you. Sheldon House, Danny McCallum, Joe Pauly, Gaia Eternal, Dave Over the Sea, Ren Nature, Andy Renwick, Osmondias, Shayna Silgan, Leo Scone, Brian the Giant Cloudbuster, who's, Tony Burt's, Sean the other one. It just goes on and on and on from there. Thank you guys so much for the recommendation. Thank you so much for the suggestion, for the patience. And now, no more patience needed. Let's listen to the first track. We'll discuss it a little bit after. Ooh, it's gonna feel so good. It's going to feel so good to listen to Kate Bush again. Man, you have no idea. You know what? Get the plugs out the way now. Buy Me a Coffee's there. If you have a song request, you want to jump the line, you can do so over there. Patreon exclusive content. If you don't mind liking and sharing the video, that helps along and a great deal as well. King of the Mountain. I'm really excited. You have no idea. I'm already in.
Could you see the eyes of the women? Could you hear them screaming and weaving? Could you see the storm rising? Could you see the guy who was driving? Could you climb higher and higher? Could you climb right over the top?
The bass coming in.
Why does a multi-millionaire fill up his home with priceless junk? The wind is whistling, the wind is whistling through the house.
This is not vibrato.
Up beside you out there somewhere, looking like a happy man.
Smart use of the toms there.
In the snow with rosebud, and the king of the mountain. Another Hollywood waitress is telling us she's having your baby.
We're so back, man.
And there's a rumor that you're on ice, and you will rise again someday. And then there's a photograph where you're dancing on your grave.
How the bass enunciated her words there. It is so good to be back. It is so good. This is like when I listen to Mike Oldfield. Like it's one of those artists that are evergreen. You know, maybe I don't like every single song, but you can be sure that I enjoy the artists in such a way that I'm always looking forward to hearing them. I'm always looking forward to hearing whatever new music, for me, not you guys, 2005, obviously. It's just a treat for me to listen to. It's one of those favorite artists that I'm always looking forward to new music in general too, and this is no different. So what do we have here that's different? What do we have changed? So let's do some quick research, right? This is her 8th studio album. Let's pull up her discography super quick just so we can get an idea of where this album lies. So this is the album before 50 Words for Snow, which I think is incredibly underrated and an absolutely gorgeous album. Besides The Sensual World, I've probably listened to that album recently the most. And Ariel comes after The Red Shoes. We haven't touched that one. The Sensual World we've listened to, Hounds of Love, The Dreaming I've Heard, Never Forever, The Kick Inside, and 50 Words, of course. So we have covered quite a bit from her. And so this is coming a little bit later in her career, right? Second to last album as of this current point. And I think that this intro to the album, King of the Mountain, is a more laid back, not so action front and heavy kind of track. And I like that. The Sensual World also opens in a similar style. Excuse me. And I like how it's very much more focused, I would say, on the groove and the rhythm of things and placing those melodies, beautiful as they are, kind of in between that. And I really like that. She shows up not in a dramatic style, not in an overly subtle style, but kind of perfectly in the middle. So this is setting the stage for almost, and at this point, listen, she's mature, she's sophisticated in her albums, but work with me here. This is kind of setting this up to me so far as almost another era of her maturation when it comes to her music. And I'm looking forward to where it goes from here, because obviously with Kate Bush, it can go in so many different places. One of the other things I love is that with Kate Bush, she has so much talent working around her. There's so many musicians around her that are always fabulous to hear. Del Palmer on the bass. Like, always a pleasure to hear them playing the bass. And here you also have Patty Bush with additional vocals. You have the guitar played and performed by Dan McIntosh and drums from Steve Sanger. What I thought was kind of interesting about the drums, the way they came in. First of all, when the drums first came in that chorus, they came in almost like a half measure. Like, they didn't wait the full way. And they didn't come in early. They kind of came in halfway, which I thought was kind of interesting. And the way that the drums are played in this track feel very, very composed. Like the same way that you would have a big band drummer, or like I'm talking like in that style of jazz, or that's what's the big band, but also, it's on the tip of my tongue. Is it bandstand that I'm thinking of? I'm not sure off the top of my head, but that big influence of big band jazz and such, where you have the drummer playing, but they're following the notation. They're following sheet music and they're playing alongside that. The drumming here kind of gives me that kind of same impression with the way that it's played. It feels very structured and very detailed and perfectly placed where things need to be in here, rather than just improvising and swinging around and just kind of following the groove of everything. Although the drums clearly are, the way that they're playing feels a little bit more structured, I would say. Obviously, the bass, when that comes in, it just warms everything up. I love the moments that Palmer plays right behind Kate's voice, playing along with her intonation, along with the melody that she sings. That's also a really nice way of pushing her voice and creating this kind of lifted moment where both rhythmically and melodically they're pleasurable and satisfying to listen to. The way that I would assume it's Patty Bush, but also Kate Bush herself, obviously. How you have those backing vocals and harmonies that come through that just add light to everything. And then there's small moments. I wish I was looking at the timestamp so I could pull them up and quickly reference them. But there's small moments that you hear in the back, which is another huge credit to Bush and her way of looking at music and creating it as an art form. There's a lot of little details that happen in the back. Vocals, yes. There's I want to say it's a keyboard chord or a synth chord or something that at one moment in the sparseness of the track kind of plays in the back and it kind of pitches a little bit, which is kind of really cool. I like how she incorporates that into the song. There's a nice vibrato that comes from Kate as well. This feels like a very sunny and an upbeat track from her, and I just really enjoyed how it's played. The group is absolutely incredible, and obviously the big moments here. This is just satisfying. This ending is satisfying. And there's, you know what's also another thing? There's a certain sort of restraint, I think, in the way that she's performing in this one, but like a calculated restraint. Now, will the dogs be let loose, or those hounds be let loose later on? Who knows? But I like how this one kind of starts the album, and of course sets a certain scene. Let's look at these lyrics. Could you see, and it's good to be back on Kate Bush Encyclopedia, by the way. Could you see the aisles of women? Could you see them screaming and weeping? Could you see the storm rising? Could you see the guy who was driving? Could you climb higher and higher? Could you climb right over the top? Why does a multimillionaire fill up his home with priceless junk? The wind is whistling through the house. To me, this implies emptiness, right? Not only an emptiness of materialism, but there's an emptiness even climbing up the mountain. You could reference this as stardom, someone who is trying to achieve some lofty goal, but like almost in a more materialistic sense. Could you see the aisles of women, the screaming, the weeping? Like, could you see the good and the bad as they climbed this mountain to so to speak, become king? And of course, the wind is whistling through the house. It's empty. Elvis, are you out there somewhere looking like a happy man in the snow with Rosebud and the king of the mountain? So Elvis, like, are you out there? You know, obviously king of rock and roll and stuff. And like, she's like, are you out there happy? How did you achieve your happiness? Was it through your fame? Well, obviously, if you're out there somewhere, you're not dead, and perhaps you're enjoying life in a quieter way. Maybe a different sort of king of the mountain. In the snow with Rosebud and king of the mountain. I would imagine. I don't know. Rosebud is. It's a line spoken in, I believe, Citizen Kane, if I remember correctly. I don't know a thing about the movie. I don't know a thing what the Rosebud reference is, but perhaps that's what it's referencing. Another Hollywood waitress is telling us she's having your baby, and there's rumor that you're on ice, and you will rise again someday. And then there's a photograph where you're dancing on your grave. The wind is whistling through the house, and then the lines repeat. So I kind of read this almost in two ways. What I mentioned with, someone who's climbing this figurative mountain, trying to attain such fame and such notoriety and such. And there's two outcomes. There's the, they become overly materialistic. They really sacrifice, they claw and bite their way to get to the top. And when they do get to the top, they find that it's all meaningless. They find that it's all empty. They are king of the mountain, but there's no one on the mountain to be king of. Like, okay, good, good for you. And that they either remain that way and they stay in this kind of state of emptiness, or, as she's perhaps implying by Elvis, they fake their death symbolically, and they enjoy their life and find other meaning in other things. And they fake their death because the things that they attained on that mountain wasn't what they wanted. And so they die so they can live again in some other capacity. You know what I mean? Like something like that is kind of what I get when I'm like thinking about this track. That's how I kind of interpret it. There's a music video here as well. There's some different versions. Let's look at the Wikipedia page on this one. Okay. The single peaked at number 4 in the UK singles chart. Let's see. Written about 10 years before most of the songs on Ariel, the lyrics inquire whether Elvis Presley might still be alive someplace, of course, and playing with Rosebud, Kane's childhood sled, and comments on the pressures of extreme fame and wealth. Is that Citizen Kane? Yeah. Okay. I don't know anything about the movie still, so that doesn't do much for me, but at least I got that kind of right. In a November 2005 interview, Bush said, "I don't think human beings are really built to withstand that kind of fame." And I love this. I love the single artwork here. Sung in a slightly slurred Elvis-type manner, the track was produced by Bush, mastered by Guthrie. The cover art is drawn by her son, Bertie. I love that. And there's a B-side featuring a cover of Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing. Okay. Let's see. And it goes on from there. Track information, 5 in Canada, 3 in Finland, 4 in Scotland, and on the UK singles chart as well. I hope that this was a welcome return for you. This was a welcome return for me. I hope that you enjoyed listening to it alongside with me. And I just hope you had a good time returning to this Kate Bush, because I am absolutely having a great time coming back to it. Of course, as mentioned before, the Buy Me a Coffee is there. This and that, all the other things. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for being here. Come back tomorrow, and I hope to see you all then. Bye, guys.